Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brood Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe. Good morning and welcome to the Pro Flight Finale coverage here on ultiworld.com. We're live here in Davis, California. I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Keith Rayner, and we're set to bring you coverage of this women's quarterfinal matchup between Chicago's Nemesis and Austin's Showdown. Nemesis coming into the tournament undefeated, beating Fury yesterday, and some great storylines. Keith, let's get this game underway.
We see Showdown coming out with a bit of a junky set. Marissa Mead swinging the disc to Paula Seville in the middle. Over to Leanne Hoffman. Hoffman towards the sideline to Kelly Johnson. Back to the middle to Seville. Not advancing the disc much. Working the disc back and forth. Showdown getting a lot of throws without gaining yardage. But Nemesis starts working up towards the sideline. Johnson looking back towards the middle. Gets it off the line to Hoffman. Hoffman, the full swing to Mead. And a turf there. Defensive pressure. Able to generate a first possession turn for Showdown.
Good marks frequently. Able to put pressure on teams, and we saw it there.
Charlie, do you feel like the conditions here maybe favor some junky and zone looks?
Well, considering the wind is light as it was yesterday morning, I think junk sets more used as a way to slow down a pull play or set look off the pull, as opposed to really trying to force difficult throws into wind.
Oh, and some contact here puts Sarah Blythe, better known as Slider, a player who we'll probably be seeing a lot of today. Tends to get a lot of touches in this defensive line offense for Showdown. Looks like an uncontested foul call. Seville in coverage. They'll come in on zero. Looking around for the dump. Finally finds a late release there to Becca Shelton towards the sideline, and there's a stoppage.
A lot of stoppages here early. Teams playing physical to start this game. Two very good teams here. See how the game progresses in terms of physicality.
We see Slider going around. Showdown switching fields to Anna Schott, swinging the disc back to Slider. Blythe. Just outside the end zone, a blade across, and finds Anessa Janes for a game-opening break for Austin Showdown. Puts them up 1-0 on undefeated Chicago Nemesis.
Yesterday morning in the first round, Showdown came out hot just like this against Seattle's Riot. Ended up going on to win that game. Big upset yesterday. Of course, Nemesis, the story of the tournament thus far, with the huge win over San Francisco Fury in the first round. And if you take a look at our day one recap on Ultiworld, you'll see that Nemesis was able to take advantage of 6 first throw turnovers by Fury, coming off of the caught pull and then immediately turning it over 6 times in the game. And Nemesis able to get 5 breaks on those chances. So Nemesis may have to play a little bit cleaner game. You're not going to get that many chances 10 yards outside the end zone in most games.
Nemesis applying a lot of defensive pressure. Some of these players we're seeing on this offensive line will play both ways, notably Leanne Hoffman, who is one of the stars in the division right now, is just exploding, just so talented. Everybody who watches her can't help but come away impressed with what she's able to do. Kelly Johnson also on the line. She'll play both ways for this team, and she's an important asset for them because of her explosiveness. As the pull goes up, a little bit trouble fielding it, but Mead finds Johnson. Johnson out to space, a poach coming on, and a nice D there by Jess Yun. Showdown quickly coming up with a banana shot in the middle of the field with no mark. Sherrier back to shot in the middle. Shot, one of the new players in this team, a bid there from Seville. It's going to cause a stoppage as she takes down Christina Contreras. Contreras up line to shot. Shot with the put deep. It's a bit of a jump ball, and Hoffman gets up for it. She's fantastic in the air. Comes right back in. A horizontal stack here from Nemesis, and again, Showdown doing a good job clogging the lanes downfield, not giving a lot of upfield options, forcing Nemesis to work horizontal as they swing to Christine Dude.
The poachy look really working right now for Showdown. Just putting pressure on those lanes is causing Nemesis to be a little over-aggressive, and that's how they've gotten those first couple of turns.
Seville now on the right third of the field. Goes upfield to Becca Ludford. A stoppage downfield. Coming in just off the sideline. Showdown's offense looking impressive on their first two, defense looking impressive on their first two defensive possessions here. Another stoppage. Seen a lot of stoppages so far, Charlie.
Yeah, a lot of calls here early. Both teams, you know, you could come out of yesterday, Showdown as the 4 seed in their pool, but with a huge win and really played better than, you know, you would expect to see a 4 seed play. Today, it doesn't matter. Everybody's in the quarters. So Showdown can come out, get a huge upset here against Nemesis and end their undefeated season.
Both of these teams upsetting the powerhouses of Ultimate, as you see Paula Seville going deep, and a nice big layout grab. Nemesis now on the goal line. Katie Delara coming up with that as we see another stoppage. She's about 3 yards outside the end zone. Delara looking to Mead. Not able to get open. Physical defense, but she does swing it off the line to Seville. Looks to the middle of the field to Johnson. Sherrier on the mark here. Johnson looking give and go. And a nice break throw from Seville. Gets Nemesis on the board, makes it 1-1. Able to work through a lot of stoppages there, but eventually able to get the full field covered and come up with a score.
And now we'll see the Nemesis D for the first time in this game, and that's really what won them games, has won them games all season and won them games yesterday. Obviously putting in a lot of breaks against Fury and able to pick up the offense. It's going to be interesting to see how Showdown runs their offense against a D-line that's known to be very athletic and talented, able to generate blocks and not just general pressure. So we'll get a good look at this team. And
Nemesis able to get 5 breaks in a row against Fury yesterday on the way to their upset win. Not often that teams are not only able to force Fury into making mistakes, but even more rare that teams are able to capitalize on those mistakes and punch in breaks against a very staunch defensive team in Fury. Showdown fancies themselves an athletic team that works a lot based on their defense, so both of these teams are looking to pressure teams with their defensive plays. We see the pull come in.
This is the game. Let's go. Let's go.
And the deep shot going up here from Katie Forth to Kara Crouch, the 2 stars of this offense. Crouch, a Team USA World Games member, looking to reset. Gets an option near the sideline here. Looking off the line. Forth up the line again. Playing in a 5-yard box here as we see a stoppage in play. Crouch hugging the sideline. Nemesis doing a good job keeping the disc there, not letting them get it off the line. Disc comes in. Crouch able to get the disc off over her mark, Cammie Groom. And a swing here. All the way out to the opposite sideline to Rachel Massey, back to Crouch towards the middle. just outside the end zone. A nice around from Crouch. And that's going to be a score for Lily White and gives Showdown a 2-1 lead up a break early in this quarterfinal.
You could see the impact of Crouch all over that point, had fingerprints everywhere. Gets open immediately on the deep cut, makes a great grab, and then to get the assist there, she had to throw a pretty tough break throw. So able to do so many things. Obviously, you don't get onto the World Games team without being really a well-rounded, excellent player in all facets of the game. But she's so important to the flow of this offense, and we saw it there on the first point. It'll be interesting to see how Nemesis tries to adjust and maybe slow her down. Obviously, it's generally pretty difficult to stop players offensively when they're really great, like Crouch is. But in this situation with a great D, a team D playing that we see from Nemesis, they're going to have to try to find ways to slow her down.
Crouch being guarded at that point by Cammie Groom, another one of the big additions to this Nemesis team. And she's been playing very well for them the past 2 tournaments, heavyweights and yesterday here. A U23 player with Team USA in Toronto this year. It'll be an interesting matchup to see if they keep using Groom against her or if they try and run different legs against someone as talented as Crouch. We see the pull going up here. Kelly Johnson looking to field. Nemesis with a ISO side stack. Mead in the middle. Swinging around, Johnson out to Margalit Gould. Left side of the field here. Swinging back towards the middle. All the way out to the sideline. Up the line to Mead. Mead, the break side huck. Christine Doobie able to get there. A nice shot from Mead, does a good job opening up the break side with an up the line cut and a nice open side huck fake. Puts up a nice shot to make this game 2-2.
Yeah, pretty offense there from Nemesis. Worked it up the open side and then found that space on the break side. That's, if you have good throwers who can put it out into that space, can actually be, I won't call it advantageous, but at least gives you a lot of room to work with when you're on the sort of open sideline. And they did that just there, beating the defense to the break side.
A definite noticeable difference in defensive strategy so far. Showdown doing a great job clogging the lanes, forcing a lot of horizontal movement from Nemesis. Nemesis applying a lot of pressure to the dumps and the resets, trying to make it difficult to gain that horizontal movement and forcing hard upfield throws. We'll see if they continue that strategy as they set up the pull. Nemesis is Lindsay Hack looking to pull and she's been quite an interesting story joining this Nemesis team mid-season. See what impact she has for them on their defensive line as Showdown brings the disc in. Shreen Raby looking up the field to Fourth. Fourth with just one cutter downfield right now, but finds Crouch up the line, gets up for it against Groom, and then finds Raby upfield. Fourth, again, very few players upfield in front of the disc, but now they're trying to find a set. Crouch again near the sideline and the hammer over the top. Brings it in, a tough adjustment there for Francis Sucano, but able to get it. A fairly effortless looking point for Austin Showdown there.
But I want to come back to the fact that would have been effortless without Crouch out there. She made 2 great strike cuts to keep the offense flowing when there was basically nobody cutting. Everybody was behind the disc, and then she bailed them out. And once again, she gets the assist. Great point from her again, and obviously a critical part of this offense.
They definitely are looking to her when they're stuck. When they're in a position where they don't have a great option, essentially the look right now has been find Kara Crouch. And they've done a good job doing that. Crouch is able to stay involved and active. And for a team to have a talent like this and funnel the offense through her, unless someone's going to stop it, it's a perfectly reasonable strategy. 3-2 here. Showdown up early on. Quarterfinals, you're watching Ulti World's coverage of the Pro Fight finale here in Davis, California. Quarterfinals matchup after a very exciting upset-filled day yesterday. Nemesis, the #1 seed from Pool A, upsetting Fury and Showdown. A surprising 4 seed after their first round upset of Seattle Riot from Pool B. The pull going up from Sherrier. Mead feels it in the middle and looks up to Seville. And again, we see a junky look here from Showdown, looking to clog the lanes, take away any initial pull plays. Seville to the left third to Hoffman. Nemesis just working the width of the field now. Johnson with it on the right third. Popper's trying to sit in the holes in this zone, but the handler's content to work it and gain yardage in increments. Now putting 2 cutters against 1 defender. Out to Hoffman, the right third, and puts up a backhand huck. Pretty throw from Leanne Hoffman, and again we see what a big part of this Nemesis team she can be.
Effective work from the Nemesis handlers, finding space to gain 5 or 6 yards every time they dump back and forth to each other. A lot of soft marks, not really trying to put any pressure on the handlers, and Nemesis took advantage of what was there, moved it to the sideline, changed the angle, and found the deep shot.
Yeah, they figured that there were generally 3 players up front defending the handlers, and they put 2 handlers on against 1 defender, worked the disc back and forth between Seville and Mead to gain some yardage, and eventually the outsides of that poachy look had to clamp in to take away those easy resets, and they went outside to an unmarked Hoffman.
Nice offense from both teams so far. The only difference in this game, that early Showdown break. Score 3-3. Today's coverage here on Ulti World presented by Spin Ultimate.
Speed up, boys, speed up.
Hack ready to pull for Nemesis. Fourth now in the middle. An early huck play to Crouch, but deed there by Captain Laura Miller. A new matchup for Crouch. Nemesis with a chance to get that break back, and Showdown again falls into the poachy look, trying to take away upfield action here. Groom near the sideline, putting up a flick huck to Katie Dyer, and Dyer not able to come down with it. Maybe popped up by the wind.
That's a great look from Nemesis, though, taking advantage of an open cutter downfield and trying to force the issue once you get the disc on the D-line offense.
The swing to Grenke here. Grenke around to Raby. Putting up a flick to space. Just a little too far there for fourth. And again, another chance for a break here.
So after a few clean points, seeing some turnovers now, both teams giving it back and forth.
Yeah, Shireen, that's good, Shireen.
Here on the line, swinging around to Miller. 3 or 4 yards inside her end zone. The pick call downfield. We'll see if Nemesis can work their way through this Showdown D, which right now may choose to play a little bit tighter and apply pressure with so little distance between the back line and the disc, but a throw to space there on the break side opens up the field a little bit for Nemesis. Nemesis now in the middle of the field. Johnson coming up with that one after a little bit of bobble, looks to the break side. Miller around for the deep throw, but it's a little too far. Looked like there may have been a stoppage, a call downfield, and the cutter stopping her cut. Grecke comes in and works it to the middle of the field towards Crouch. Crouch back towards the sideline, finding Lily White. A big bid there, nice grab from Showdown. Sarah Levin, one of their big downfield targets, able to dump it off to Grecke. Grecke not able to get off the sideline. Showdown fairly content to stay on the open side of the field. And again, looking over the top into the end zone. A pile of players in traffic unable to come down with the catch, but there looks like there'll be a call on the play.
Observers tend to overrule these calls in pileups. It has to be pretty clear contact that causes a player to miss a disc. They have to really see contact on the shoulder, on the arm, because in these pileups, really, who knows who's getting pushed from which direction? It's really hard to call that, sort of an individual foul on a team, and you tend to see observers overrule these calls.
Observer does overrule the call. You're right, very difficult to determine where contact is coming from and how it affected the play with so many bodies, so many variables. Nemesis immediately comes in, and Johnson takes a timeout in the center of the field on her own goal line. And we'll see the teams and the coaches get together and try and figure out what the best way to attack is from here.
It's a good game so far. Score 3-3, pretty even. Both teams playing pretty well. Still trying to figure out defensively what's going to work well for them as we see the showdown in the huddle.
Showdown, a semifinalist at last year's club championships, did not have a ton of turnover, and there was kind of a curious case. They struggled in the regular season, but then turned it on at the championships to make the semifinals. Added Anessa Janes and Anna Schott, two experienced players in the women's game. Already have seen some of their impact on the game, but have not had a great regular season so far, leading to them getting a low seed coming to this Pro 5 finale. Meanwhile, Nemesis undefeated in the regular season, winning Chicago Heavyweights and the Pro Elite Challenge at Atlantis Terminus. And coming in here and topping Fury. It's an argument that they're playing like the best team in the women's game currently. We see the disc come in and immediately go towards the open side. Up the field here. Now near the sideline, looking to get it off. Finds Johnson. Johnson able to get around to Moore. Moore upfield and a poach D from fourth. Coming off and getting in the lane. Immediately goes to Crouch, and Crouch with the IO break. A great break. Oh, and it comes off the hands of fourth and is brought in by Sarah Levin in the end zone. And they are pumped about punching in that score and taking a 4-3 lead.
And I want to mention a couple things. First of all, great poach D there in the middle from fourth. Just recognizing where the space was on the field, sagging off of her, who she was covering, and getting into the lane and to make that block. Obviously a bit of a lucky end to the point there from Showdown, but great score, 4-3 the score here. And to go back to what you said earlier about Nemesis, obviously all these teams at this competition, very, very good. And as we saw yesterday, mistakes from Fury now cost them. I think in the past, maybe 5 years ago, Fury would be able to get away with 6 first throw turnovers. But now Nemesis is able to take advantage of that and really pull off one of the biggest upsets in the women's division in the last few years. It was the first time in 8 years that Fury had lost to a United States team other than Seattle Riot. That's a pretty incredible statistic, and it goes to show just how dominant the San Francisco team has been.
Yeah, I spoke with some of the Fury players last night about the loss, and when I mentioned, it's like, how often do you guys even lose 2 games this season? As they had lost to Seattle Riot very early in the year at Emerald City Classic, and they kind of shrugged and said, it happens. We lose to Riot a couple times a year usually. Not used to falling to other opponents. Told me that they didn't even realize they were losing until very late in the game to this Nemesis team that here is again working against the poachy look. Hoffman able to find a huck as there's a miscommunication downfield. Now Delara drops it off for Meade, and an easy score for Kelly Johnson. a missed coverage downfield and an easy point for Nemesis in response to that long point we saw last point. We'll keep it tied at 4-4. Looking around the division in another quarterfinal, probably one of the most exciting matchups, Scandal and Ozone. Playing Ozone struggling yesterday and Scandal finishing second in the pool after losing to Seattle Riot. But these two teams are 1-1 against each other this season and right now locked in at 3s in another quarterfinal in the women's division. On the men's side, Chicago Machine up 5-2 against Chain Lightning, while Ironside is up 3-2 on Toronto's Goat. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the Pro Fight finale here in beautiful Davids, California. Wonderful weather out here this morning. We can already feel the temperatures rising, probably expected to be in the mid-90s today. Yesterday, we actually had a round canceled. The 4th round of play was pool crossovers. It actually had no bearing on the bracket, and the teams deciding that between the lack of impact those games would have and the temperatures and tired legs, that they would just rather go rest and talk strategy. As we see the pole go up here, landing just short of the brick mark near the middle of the field. And in comes Showdown. Raby looking out to Crouch. So many points initiating this way, and Crouch looking outside in Huck, but a little too short of a throw. Lands in the end zone.
Maybe the first mistake we've seen from Crouch in this game. Is probably the right decision, just not well executed.
Often initiating with that Crouch look as Sam Kane brings the disc in. There's a contested throw there. Rachel Massey able to pressure the cutter and give Showdown a short field. Granke coming in on the left third of the field. Swinging to Crouch for a give and go. Gets her to the middle of the field. And then out to space. Finds Francis Sicano for her second goal. And the offense for Showdown holding, keeping them up a break, 5-4 in this quarterfinals matchup.
Both defenses getting opportunities, but not punching in a whole lot of breaks. Of course, we've seen Nemesis have a few chances, and we saw there looking a little bit out of sync after getting the disc there on the goal line. They had good initiating cuts, but they were both shut off by good defense from Showdown and tried to just force it into a space that wasn't really open instead of looking to maybe center that disc.
We haven't seen Showdown applying a ton of pressure to the resets, and there we saw them close off the reset. Nemesis not really giving a hard look to it, but that's a tough play. That's essentially the toughest place on the field to start the disc, right? Is that force side end zone line. Teams really able to pressure you in what some call the coffin corner. Nemesis not able to get out of it, and Showdown able to hold here. Looking for another break. Tina Woodings set to pull here. Getting up a nice pull and leaning towards the sideline. Johnson brings it in again. We see that side sack from Nemesis. Seville found not finding the initiating cut, but Seville finds Hoffman about 5 yards off the open sideline. Seville able to get open up the line and puts it to space easily for Margalit Gould.
And you could see the opposition between Nemesis's D-line offense and their O-line offense. That's so smooth. Great movement, good strike cuts, working the break side. It stayed really on the high side of the field the entire time. Easily punching in the score, never even going over to the open sideline. And their D-line offense, on the other hand, as we saw last possession, struggling to move the disc even off of the first throw.
And what's interesting is 3 of the 4 players who touched that disc for Nemesis's O-line were not on this team last year. Marissa Mead and Paula Seville both coming over from the now defunct Michigan mixed team overhaul, both former players with the University of Michigan Flywheel. Paula Seville, of course, winning the Callahan in her time there. It's essentially the top player in the college women's game at the collegiate level that season. Also Leanne Hoffman, a Callahan finalist this past year with Northwestern, a team she helped propel to a very impressive college championships performance. We see another new player on this roster, Lindsay Akbo, in an offsides call. Cami Groom, another name we've said a lot, who's new to this team. Nemesis is a solid team last year. They performed well at the club championships, as is evidenced by their attendance here. It means they were a quarterfinalist. And this is a team who's been on the rise, but adding so much firepower this year. Nearly added another with Cassie Swafford out of Ohio State, one of the top players in the college game, but she opted to take some time off for rest, heal up her body for her college season as we see the reset pull. Raby bringing it in and centering to Grenke. Now miscommunication downfield leading to some poaching from Nemesis as they recover. Grenke now. The right third, a nice throw to space upfield. Looking for a reset, but a drop there from fourth, an unusual mistake from one of Showdown's top vets. Nemesis really challenging the around near the sideline. And Johnson immediately going deep here. And running it out. Very nice grab there by Katie Dyer. Johnson with a perfect put, just in a space where the defense had no shot at it. And Nemesis gets on the board with the break.
Once again, we see the Nemesis D-line looking better when they attack quickly and force the issue. Throwing up a huck. They had one earlier that they just missed on, and this time it connects, getting over the top of the defense, and really a perfect throw from Johnson. And we're back on serve here.
Johnson, a player who maybe was not talked about as much last season going into the club championships, but really made her mark there. She's just a tireless worker. She's an explosive athlete with a great first step. Allows her to make a lot of plays downfield and also a lot of strong upline cuts. She's very difficult to guard in a small box because of that burst. Had an excellent performance at the club championships last year. Really a big part of Nemesis's quarterfinal appearance.
Johnson was playing excellent all of this season. If you watched our coverage of Terminus in Atlanta, you saw her dominating on the field, getting some huge plays, just so athletic. And one of the sort of major components of this Nemesis team's success.
And here an ISO stack, but a different set coming out of it. A reverse flood play, and Grenke's able to find space to put up a huck. Very nice read by fourth, and she'll just drop the dish off to Sucano, nearly missing it, but able to pull it in for her third score of the game. And an easy flowing point for Nemesis, for Showdown, who's done a great job using that isolation set, getting their top players in space one-on-one and winning those battles.
We've now seen this Showdown team with two relatively lucky catches. That one should have been pretty easy, but bobbled, maybe took her eye off the disc. And in the other end zone, the tip disc went into the hands of a second receiver in the area. So sometimes what you need to win games is those kinds of things to break your way. It can be frustrating to the opposite team when they see those things happen and they're not coming your way.
Sometimes what helps create that luck is just hustle. If your players aren't giving up on disc, if you're chasing after the disc to pick up the trash, oftentimes you're the team that wins that battle. But certainly as a as a defense, it always feels frustrating, like it was a mistake that was uncontrollable. And we'll see this Nemesis offensive line, which is really worked through the handlers and Leon Hoffman to find a lot of flow so far. And we'll see what defensive look Showdown decides to bring down. The pull goes up here. Seville fielding it out to Meade. And a side stack from Nemesis as they look to isolate Christine Doobie, and a zone poachy look from Showdown, and a drop there by Nemesis' Kelly Johnson is going to give a roughly brick length field for Showdown, and a D in response on the first throw by Marissa Meade. Able to get out in front of the cutter and give Nemesis the chance to hold. Johnson coming in on the sideline. And a big foot block there. It looked like there may have been a foul call, but Johnson waves it off, and we see a big foot block from Diana Sherrier.
Sometimes it shocks you to get foot blocked like that so cleanly, and you really want to call a foul, but that was absolutely 100% out of her hands.
And so clean. One of the cleanest foot blocks maybe I've ever seen. A poach here from Doobie, and not able to take advantage of it. Blythe around the middle of the field to Hune, and Hune looks like calling a foul here. Reserving possession near the middle of the field, about 10, 12 yards outside the end zone. Players resetting. Sherrier instantly resets to Blythe. Blythe around fake inside break to Anessa Janes. And that's a break for Showdown. Their second of the game. It's going to put them up 7-6 and give them a chance to break for half.
It's just great end zone offense there from Showdown. We've seen it twice now. Really good break throw. It's so important to have a thrower that's able to do that for your D-line and to put them out there, fake that around, which they've been getting all game, shift the mark, and then go inside for the score. And we now see Showdown back on top here, 7-6.
One of the surprising parts of the Showdown team earlier in the year was that it seemed like they were out of sorts. And maybe that was because a leader like Crouch was spending some time with the World Games team, or it could be they brought in a new coaching staff, Tal Tversky and David Melanson, now coaching this team, but they looked like they just weren't quite sure their chemistry, their identity. They look a lot more sure of what team they are and how they want to play the game, and a much more confident Showdown squad here as we see the pull go up, and Nemesis will fight to get the hold here and a chance for half. And again, they come out in a side stack, isolating Leanne Hoffman, and so difficult to guard in space. Hoffman now with the disc at midfield. Towards the middle to Gould. Gould resets to Johnson. On the right third of the field, out to the middle to Seville. Seville, the dish to Meade, and looks like a travel is called.
Going to the observer here, it didn't look like a travel.
I agree.
Of course, if you're within 3 steps and you change direction, not a travel, and that's what the observer's ruling.
Meade now. Just to the left of the brick mark, a poach. Forcing Meade to go to the break side, finds Gould.
Beautiful Gould. Break throw.
Unmarked here. But in trouble at a high count situation, finds Seville. Seville's such a reliable reset, goes high release break. Doobie on the sideline here, back to the middle to Seville. And again, the high release break, a little short, but finds the unintended receiver in Kelly Johnson and ties it up at 7s, making this half point.
Both teams working the break side so well. We watched Seville throw a couple of nice high release backhands there, and nobody getting complacent and just working it all the way to the open sideline and getting stuck over there and near the end zone. So critical Both teams doing a nice job in the red zone.
Showdown looking to poach a little bit more on the open side there, trusting the mark to deny those break side throws, but Seville is both skilled and also very tall. She's a very tall handler and allows her to pop those throws over the top and use her length to get around the mark. And Seville I mean, she won the Callahan without being the type of player who makes the giant plays. She's not the huge layouts or the monster skies. She's just so incredibly solid and disciplined. Tracing back to her background with Paideia, a notable fundamental institution, and then of Ultimate, and then traveling up to Michigan, where she learned from a very strong flywheel program with a wealth of history and success. It's built her into the type of player who's just incredibly dependable. Showdown taking a timeout here as we set up for the last point of this half. Probably not wanting that a possible timeout to be wasted, strategizing for this offensive point. Nemesis, it looked like taking a mostly mental approach to this timeout. Arms in the air, a mental positivity exercise we see a lot of teams doing. They'll bring Leanne Hoffman and Kelly Johnson across to this D-line. Shows how big a point this is for them. We see these players play both ways, but have not seen it much today. The offensive line also stacked for Showdown, as you see Anessa Janes coming over and Sarah Blythe also playing on this line. Essentially, arguably the top 7 mostly for both of these teams, or certainly some form they're in.
Our advanced analytics on UltiWorld have shown that these teams rely heavily on their top players. They like to put the disc in the hands of their top, you could say 1 to maybe 9, and let them make plays. And it's already been proven that if they're able to do that effectively, they can beat the best. But notably, both of these teams got their big upsets yesterday in the first round, when they have fresh legs and their stars aren't tired out at all. The question is, can you do it on Sunday? Can you do it over the course of a tournament, especially one like a 4-day exhausting tournament like Nationals? That's where the talent and the depth of teams like Fury and Riot and the West Coast Powers really can show through.
A nice around break to initiate from Crouch to Fourth. Lots of space upfield. Fourth looking for a reset, finds Crouch on the sideline. The break side looking to the middle of the field here. Throw out to space for Anessa Janes, and she pulls it in to take half for Showdown. 8-7, and they are fired up, knowing that they have a chance to be the first team this season to beat Chicago's Nemesis. And you mentioned the long, grueling tournament that is the club championships, and you wonder if this tournament is your preparation, your final preparation before the series. Maybe the level of competition emulating how tiring and how difficult that tournament is. How does removing a game yesterday factor in for these teams that maybe don't have the same depth at the back end of their roster as Fury and Riot?
It's a great point, Keith, and you know, it's notable. Some teams will come off of a tournament like this and have a hard practice on Monday. You know, especially with the Labor Day weekend, we'll probably hear from some teams that do that, particularly to prepare for the club championships, because playing 2 hard days of Ultimate is a lot different than playing 4 hard days of Ultimate. And while there may be fewer games played on each individual day of the club championships, you're playing at such a high level and with such intensity that it takes it out of you just as much as playing 3 or 4 games on a day like this. And you make a great point. Even though it's going to be October, it may very well be hot in Dallas, Texas when we're down there for the club championships. Is taking a round off at a tournament like this going to be the best way to prepare yourself for that? It's a great question. We'll talk a little bit more about this coming up here in the second half. Score at halftime is 8-7. It's Austin's Showdown up a break on Chicago's Nemesis, looking to potentially end Nemesis's undefeated season.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An UltiWorld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Beard Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
But so far in the quarterfinals, we're seeing one already. Fury taking half over Capitals 8-1. And Molly Brown down to Riot. Seattle up 7-4. A closer game with Ozone and Scandal. Scandal taking half 8-6. The winner of that game will play the winner of this game, which we see getting back, resuming the second half. Showdown receiving up a break 8-7. Fourth in the middle of the field. Amelia Garcia on the mark on the sideline. Raby now on the left third. Puts it up to Crouch for a horizontal reset, goes across the field to Beck's fourth. Beck's looking for the around, again challenged by Groom here. Nice inside throw to Crouch. Crouch continues the inside breaks, over to Katie fourth. She puts it up to space. And a very nice grab by Sarah Levin. A contested grab by Katie Dyer. Now about 5 yards outside the end zone, resets to fourth. Fourth. The dish to Crouch. Crouch in the middle of the field, about 10 yards outside. The around break to Raby. Raby just outside the goal line here. On the sideline, Carol Lee on the mark, looking to reset. And a short throw, small window for fourth. Leads to a drop. Hack picks up and immediately hucks it to Cammie Groom, the only person downfield except for her defender. Beck's fourth, and now Amelia Garcia streaking. Groom looking for a reset. A great job by Beck's fourth to deny her the throw upfield.
What a heads-up play by Lindsay Hack, picking up the disc in the end zone and just putting it before taking it to the line and taking advantage of the slow defensive recovery as we watch the disc get turned over. So more struggles for this D-line punching it in, but great look from Hack downfield. And you see again, when they go fast, they really are finding ways to get down the field on Showdown.
We haven't talked much about what Hack brings to this D-line. She's played almost every point for so far. Just such an experienced player, and easily recognizing an opportunity there to pick up the disc and Showdown kind of milling around, expecting the disc to be walked up to the line, expecting to have some time, and Groom just takes off. She is affectionately nicknamed by her U23 teammates Zoom Zoom. There she just zooms down the field as we see Showdown coming out of their end zone. Looking up the field, and here's a big shot from fourth. And a nice grab there from Raby. Looking to reset. Across to Katie fourth. Fourth on the right third. An upline shot to Raby, a poach coming on. And Dyer able to get there. Nemesis pumped up. Continuing to have the opportunity for a break. Decibel level really rising on the sidelines as the teams sense that this is the second half and there's something at stake here. Io Huck up. Hack putting it up for Groom. Some contact on it, but Groom not able to bring it down.
Much better defensive effort there after the turnover from this Showdown offense. They quickly picked up the downfield threats and stopped that initial huck, and that earned them a turnover as Hack put that one up into contested space.
Fool me once, right? Not going to use the same surprise twice. Beck's fourth here on the right third. Looking for a reset. Around to Crouch in the middle of the field. Crouch marked by Laura Moore. Up the field to Raby. Raby looking for a break cut. Nodding to the downfield players. Resets to Crouch with pressure for Moore. Now Crouch looking for the break throw, but goes to the open side. Looks like a pick call by Amelia Garcia. Sends the disc back. getting into a longer point here, and then we see it's no surprise as Crouch taking a timeout. Nemesis or Showdown rather, taking a timeout going into the half, and now taking a timeout in the first point of the half.
Some score updates from around the division. Scandal up 8-6 on Ozone at halftime. Riot took half 8-5 on Molly Brown. And Fury, maybe trying to silence some critics, up 11-1 on the Toronto Capitals.
Capitals an interesting case at this tournament. Only the second time we've seen them this season in USAU competition. Played once earlier in the year at the Pro Elite Challenge in Terminus. Playing the minimum amount of requisite tournaments to stay a part of the Triple Crown Tour. But here we've seen them play very tight games. Yesterday they beat the Showdown team. They lost to Riot by 2, beat Showdown by 1, and were blown out though in their other game against Scandal. Now we see them struggling perhaps with inconsistency against these elite teams. Not unlike Austin's Showdown. It's also struggled against the elite teams to really find consistency, and we come in, Crouch immediately resets to Raby. Up the line to Crouch here on the right third, about 6 yards off the sideline. Gets the around break. Again to Crouch, now getting it every other. A nice backhand throw to space. Gets Showdown the score. They'll hold to begin this half. Rachel Massey coming out with the score. Spiking it, they're excited.
And that's an important hold. They now lead 9-7, and it almost acts as a mini break. Nemesis now being forced to score 2 breaks to get the win in this game, effectively, because they're down 2 now. And so that's so important to go into halftime up a break and get the sort of mini break heading into the second half. So 2-point lead here for Showdown, and good defense there from Nemesis, but patient offensive work from the Austin team.
That high energy point, lengthy, seems to give those kind of points more meaning in the feel of the flow of the game, and makes this point a bigger pressure point for Nemesis. Getting broken here could be critical to who controls the momentum in the second half. So expect to see Showdown come out fired up, but a clean point from Nemesis may snatch the momentum right back. We've seen them open with these isolated cuts for Hoffman, Doobie, and we see them side stack again. Now an isolated cut for Delara, and foul from behind there by Shot. Shot resetting in front of the mark. And swinging to Mead. Mead getting rid of it. No one holding the dish very long as Seville gets the dish up line near the sideline. Upfield to Hoffman. Hoffman with Blythe in coverage, now cutting off the around. Upline cut from Seville. The bid can't bring it in. Got her hand on it, but just a little too far out. Pressure from Anessa Janes on the play. Showdown will come in on the far side corner of the end zone. A chance to take a critical break here. That's beginning the second half.
This would be a huge point for Showdown if they were able to get it. Great body on the sideline there.
Marjo Poindexter now looking to get the disc off the line. Puts a flick way upfield, not sure to who, and it's D'd by Nemesis captain Christine Doobie, one of the top defenders on this team, able to come up with the play. Johnson swinging in the middle to Seville. Seville to Doobie to the dish to Johnson, immediately puts up the backhand hook. And Hoffman So difficult to stop in the air. Able to come down with that and hold for Nemesis. Showdown's got to be happy to get their chance, but not happy with their execution once the disc was in their hands.
Their D-line offense has been the better one in this game. They've showed poise, but that time not as patient as maybe they would have liked. And throwing into a big pileup.
(9-8) the score in the second half of this quarterfinal between Chicago Nemesis and Austin Showdown. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the Pro Flight finale here in Davis, California. Brought to you by Spin Ultimate.
And we'd like to note that if you purchase the tournament package, you can get 50% off any season of Rise Up Ultimate. You can check out details on the Rise Up Ultimate Facebook page if you don't already know about it. Rise Up Ultimate, the world's first professional instructional video series about Ultimate. You can get tips from top coaches and players about what to do at practice and how to become a better player. So go to Rise Up Ultimate's Facebook page to get any season for just $10.
As a coach myself, proud owner of seasons 1 and 2, and I use those drills with my players, and they actually love them. I can attest to it. Crouch with a nice inside shot. Beautiful throw to space, just one-on-one downfield. And when you've got a break thrower like that and all that room, tough as a downfield defender to take that away.
Crouch, again, just doing everything for this team offensively. That's a beautiful break throw, and you can see right behind the camera there, just sees the spot where she's going to put it before she even throws it, and is able to set up the throw well by pivoting once and then coming back to that spot and releasing it perfectly into the end zone.
I would say in the games that we have watched this weekend, across either division, we haven't seen a single player as more critical to a team's offensive success than Kara Crouch so far. Almost every score they generate somehow begins with something she's doing.
It's flowing through her. It's absolutely true. Behind us in the men's showcase fields, Goat has a 10-7 lead against Boston's Ironside, and Goat playing down about 10 players this weekend. They are going to be very dangerous this season at the club championships once they're at full strength. We'll keep an eye on that game, and if this game happens to finish before that one, we will turn around and show you the end of that Ironside Goat game.
This game pretty exciting in its own right. 10-8 right now, Showdown's favor. Nemesis playing from behind, but we've seen them win games like this before. Down to Ozone at the Pro Elite Challenge in Atlanta at Terminus. Now Delara, a miscommunication there. Johnson not expecting the throw to go up to that space and not able to bring it in, and that's going to give Showdown a possession on the sideline near midfield.
The short field always just adds so much confidence to your D-line's offense. See some poaching here from Nemesis trying to shut down that easy swing off the sideline.
Tang able to break out. And a foul called there. A lot of contact on the play. Kelly Johnson in coverage. And there we saw some of what Nemesis's defensive strategy has been with the disc on the sideline. Mark goes hard, no around. Big hammer going up. And the bobbled catch is brought in by Showdown.
And we talked about it earlier, Showdown getting the breaks in this game. That's their third bobbled catch. It's now 11-8, and things are just going Showdown's way right now. The miscommunication there from Nemesis and giving them the short field was really what set that up, though.
Absolutely, the ability to capitalize on mistakes. So critical at this level. So hard to dig yourself out of a hole against these top teams.
So it's a 3-point lead here for Showdown. And starting the day, much like they did yesterday, playing great ultimate. Took down Seattle's Riot, one of the big first-round upsets yesterday. And now, in the very similar weather, calm winds, warm but not too hot yet, they're playing great once again.
Nemesis fighting for a possible #1 seed, certainly in the pool at the club championships this year. The winner of this game will play the winner of Scandal Ozone in the semifinal. Here the pole goes up, lands to the right of the brick. Side stack here, but Mead unable to get off the first throw. Dishes to Seville and finds Groom. Coming over to the offensive line, Kemi Groom here.
So you can see Nemesis starting to really push those top players to contribute here late in the game as they're down a couple of breaks.
Seville to the middle to Doobie. The around throw from Mead and Groom, who limited experience with this offensive line, maybe not sure where Mead wanted to put that, unable to come up with it, and now Showdown working to try and get yet another break here. Shot, putting up an around flick. What an incredible grab right there. Christina Contreras.
Unbelievable awareness and attacking of the disc. And was it in? Yes, it was. The observers signal that it is a score. And so, what a play. You can't call that one luck. That was amazing. She comes to the disc and basically lays out in front of the defender. A lot of contact, no call, and all of a sudden, it's 12-8. Showdown taking control of this quarterfinal.
That was essentially a disc that Contreras had no right to. And somehow, a flashing of arms and a physical commitment to the disc makes a huge impact play, gets another break for Showdown, putting them up 12-8, and in the driver's seat in this game, forcing a timeout from Nemesis, who's trying to collect themselves for a run late in this one.
And if you're in that Nemesis huddle, you've got to be talking about, we just need to play our game. They've basically just given the disc away with mistakes, simple miscommunications and errors. Nothing has really been forced by Showdown. I mean, they've played good defense, but not outstanding defense. And it's Chicago just turning it over. And there's still time in this game. Game's, of course, to 15. So they have time to get it together, but you know, yesterday it didn't matter. Everybody was going to make the quarterfinals. Now you're in an elimination situation, and you know, with a chance to really prove yourself as one of the top teams in the country, and this is where you can really have an opportunity to show your strength. How do you respond to a situation like this when you're down late? They haven't faced that this weekend.
And maybe a team that's put a lot on the backs of its talented incoming class, a lot of new players who haven't played in the elite women's game, a lot of trust in those players and their talent. And we'll see if those players can rise up to an occasion like this. Such an important thing to find out before you get to the championships. You want to know before you're in Frisco, Texas, that you can make these kind of comebacks, that you can make these plays.
Some very exciting things going on around the men's division as well. Double wide, up 3 on Revolver. It's 11-8 after another Alex Thorne score. He's playing great. Chain has mounted quite a comeback. They're still down, but it's only a 5-point deficit for them now. 12-7 Machine leads in that game.
You really don't want to be at the point where people are complimenting your 5-point deficits, though. Not a good sign.
It's been a tough weekend for Chain Lightning.
And the pull, and Johnson opts not to catch it. That looks like a sign of nervousness to me. Mead able to swing it to the middle of the Hoffman.
Showdown is smelling blood right now very aggressive sideline and very aggressive defense on the field, poaching hard into the lanes, forcing and trying to make Nemesis make a mistake. Oh, almost threw that one away. Great grab on the sideline.
Doobie now looking for the reset here. Finds Seville, showing that traditional dependability, and gets the huck up there to Kelly Johnson. Reels it in. Gets Nemesis on the board for an important score for them.
It was a tight offensive point there for Nemesis, but to get the score is such a relief, and now they can do the things that they need to do. Focus on playing great defense. Try to get yourself back into this game 1 point at a time.
You know, I believe they have one break this game so far, the Nemesis D-line. The Showdown offense has done a great job minimizing the opportunities they're giving this athletic Nemesis defense. We know this defense can rattle off breaks. 5 in a row against Fury yesterday after going down in the first half. That is an incredible feat. And that's got to be what you're thinking if you're Nemesis. We can do this. This is something we've proven to ourselves. But a tall order against an offense from Showdown that's played very well, led by World Games team member Kara Crouch. Also going on in the women's division here, another tight quarterfinal between Scandal and Ozone. Last score has Scandal up 10-9. Ozone trying to fight to get a signature win here at this tournament. Only one win yesterday. Crouch isolated. Fourth, a gutsy put into traffic. And Cammie Groom able to get just a fingertip on it and knock it to the ground. And Nemesis now with that opportunity to break, and Johnson coming in.
It's not a great decision from Fourth there, giving Nemesis an opportunity for a relatively easy block. And now you're in a situation where if they can punch one in, they might get a little bit more momentum that you'd want them to have.
Groom here up the line, tack. Just off the sideline here. Swinging the disc. Johnson now on the left third. Around to Julian Weiner, back to the middle of the field. Nice flow beginning here from Nemesis. Groom 5 yards in front of the brick mark, throws the around, puts Johnson in space, and she'll find her cutter for a score. Nemesis getting that first break.
And Showdown. All of a sudden, you feel the momentum shifting in this game a little bit. Nemesis' D-line offense looking the best that it has all game there as they started to put the disc in the hands of their stars.
We see Showdown trying to make some noise here. A mental way to recapture the momentum. Keep your team fired up. Nemesis knowing these points are critical to string together these runs. Try and put teams on their heels. We're watching Ulti World's coverage of the Pro Flight finale here, Davis, California. Sunday action, quarterfinals. The 8 quarterfinalists from last year's club championships coming together. Every team in pool play making the bracket here, so everyone with a chance to win this tournament, regardless of their Saturday performance. Coverage brought to you by Spin Ultimate as Hack puts up the pull. And the swing to Grenke. And again, a single cut here, and Grenke's happy to put up the put to fourth, and Hoffman sees it coming, gets the position on it. Nemesis another chance to break. Capitalize on the momentum.
Once again, Showdown getting away from what's gotten them here, trying to just force it deep when before they've had so much success putting the disc in the hands of Kara Crouch.
Hoffman, a gorgeous put out to Groom. Groom 2-3 yards outside the end zone. The right third, a push pass up to Johnson, and that's another break. The spike from Johnson, and Nemesis is fired up. Back-to-back breaks, shortening the gap here. And it looks like Showdown considering a timeout, try and slowing down this momentum, and I'm sure their coaches are going to talk about their deep look choices. Calling the line, not taking a timeout here, but coaches definitely want to see a different set coming out. 2 back-to-back hucks off the pull, lead to turnovers. And first possession scores for Nemesis's D-line, which is relying on some of the players that are on their own line to do work for them. Leanne Hoffman, Kelly Johnson playing both ways here.
So it's a 3-0 run for Nemesis, and this here is going to be a critical point. Showdown has got to find a way to put the disc into the end zone. You don't want to give up this break. It's so mentally difficult to get broken 3 times in a row, and then watching Nemesis tie the game will prove to be maybe more than they can take. Nemesis is so good, and we've already talked about it. 5 straight breaks yesterday against Fury. Comes a pull from Nemesis.
We actually see Showdown bringing out a primarily defensive line here. Diana Sherrier and Vanessa Janes downfield. Sarah Blythe. And an interception for Cammie Groom. Gets about a half field to work against for Nemesis. Cross field throw from Hack is brought in by Shield and knocked out of her hands by the mark by Blythe. About 5 yards off the sideline here on the break side of the field. Shield coming in. Nemesis, a chance to tie the game here with a break. Hack in the middle of the field. Over to Hoffman on the open side, horizontal. Hoffman on the left third, now looking to reset. Gets it off to Hack. Hack upfield to Moore dishes to Hoffman. Moore coached Hoffman at Northwestern this past season. Up the line to Shield. Shield about 5 yards outside the end zone. On the left third, looking for Johnson up the line, and that's another break for Chicago Nemesis.
And another score for Kelly Johnson. This game is tied.
This is exactly what we talked about Kelly Johnson's strength. So hard to guard in a small box. Near the red zone, she's probably the most effective weapon in this Nemesis arsenal. You can see just from her physique how explosive an athlete she is. And there are just few in the game who can guard her in such a small space.
And we talked about it just a few points ago. If you're Nemesis, how do you respond to this deficit? And they've responded with a 4-0 run. They've tied the game, and they've got Showdown on the sideline feeling very stressed out. The cheers after points, even when you get scored on, have disappeared. It's quiet sideline right now, and Nemesis, on the other hand, has all of the fire in this game. The Showdown offense, miscommunication on the last point, gives up the disc with short field for Nemesis to work with. It has to end. Now it's Showdown's turn to see if they can turn around and put the disc into the end zone and start to recapture what they had going earlier in this game.
And to put this game into context, I hate to look so far forward, but Nemesis, should they win this game and win this tournament, only 2 games in front of them, they do not have strong regional opponents. This could be your #1 seed going into the club championships. Not Fury, not Riot, but Chicago Nemesis. They'll have to get through a very tough Showdown team that had not given up very many breaks until this run from Nemesis. Just a single break before Nemesis rattled off 3 or 4 breaks in a row to tie it at 12s, and now Crouch in the middle of the field at midfield. She's played excellently, but very uninvolved in the offense during this run. And now we're seeing her get lots of touches. She looks to the sideline to Bex-Forth. Looks like there's a pick downfield, and this will be an interesting position for Bex-Forth to be in. Nemesis has done a great job defending when the disc is on the sideline. You'll see the marks shade hard to take away the around, and an upfield poach to make the upfield throw difficult and force that IO, but there Dyer not able to shut off Forth's around, and The disc gets all the way across the field to the left third to Grenke before a pick call. Stops play.
And you do see Crouch back here getting the touches. It's a sensible adjustment by the coaching staff. Put the disc in your best player's hands. That's what Nemesis has done, and it's what's gotten them 4 breaks in a row.
A definite shift in not only momentum but tone to these games as teams are putting in much more intense efforts. You can tell there's something at stake for these teams now. Yesterday, maybe even with the high level of competition, some lull, but see a stoppage on the field.
You can see here this sideline set allowing Crouch to go all the way backfield and shutting off that around and poaching into that upline space, and they're happy to give up the 15-yard dump if you can get it off.
The other benefit is if the team moves up the sideline, they're still hemmed there. Grenke able to use her skill to get it off the line, and we see a full field swing, working all the way from one side to the other. Gets Showdown the score. That's the challenge of trying to pin them on the sidelines. If they break out of it, it's tough to recover. Showdown able to use that to their advantage, take a 13-12 lead this quarterfinal matchup.
And so, thanks to their first half break and their strong play at the beginning of the second half, Showdown, despite giving up a 4-0 run, still finds themselves in a position to win this game. They're up 13-12. And now their defense back out on the field. That is more than anything the most welcome sight for this team.
Showdown is not trailed in this game. After an early break on the first point has helped them maintain the lead. Nemesis fighting back, digging out of a difficult hole with excellent defense and efficient offense after the turn. 13-12. We see Kelly Johnson and Leanne Hoffman both remaining on the field, seeing a lot of play time in the second half. But 2 players who are very used to that. Hoffman asked to do so much for Northwestern. Johnson, a tireless player. And Meade will feel the pull. Sends it up to the brick mark for Paula Seville. And an isolation look here. Resets to Johnson. Johnson out to the break side to Gould. Gould spent most of the beginning of the year recovering from a knee injury. Johnson putting up a bit of a jump on the Meade, but can't make the play on it. Jesse Yoon able to get underneath it, hold position, and knock that down. And give Showdown a chance for a big break here.
That disc hung up longer than Johnson wanted it to, floated a little bit out of her hand. And now Showdown has a chance to regain a 2-point lead, put themselves on the doorstep of a victory.
Nice inside break there to Poindexter. For Poindexter with the mistake on the dump, miscommunication. It's going to give a short field to Nemesis, and we have seen this penalize teams powerfully throughout this game. Both teams efficient on this goal line, and a first throw score to Hoffman allows Nemesis to hold and tie this game at 13s.
And those are the worst kind of turnovers for your D-line. The backfield dump turn, just giving all of the momentum away and giving usually an easy score, as we saw there from Nemesis.
Melanson, the coach, one of the new coaches, better known as Salad in the Ultimate community. And Tal Tversky coaching this team, holding up one finger, saying nothing to his team until they are on the line. A lot of trust from these coaches in the veteran leadership on this Showdown team. New coaches coming into a team without a lot of turnover, that had an established leadership and really working together. Talked with the coaches about this at the US Open, how much they've let the leadership on the Showdown team control what they're doing and the tone of the team, and allowing themselves to be integrated into the strategy effectively. Intensity level in this game ratcheting up. This quarterfinal matchup, the winner to play the winner of the Scandal Ozone quarterfinal matchup. A number of interesting games taking place around the division. See the poll go up here. All right, be matched up by Groom. Beck's fourth. About 5 yards off the open side sideline, able to get it off the line to her sister Katie, fourth. Crouch now. She's seen a lot of Laura Moore on the mark, but able to break inside and a difficult high release throw there from Beck's fourth. The wind picking up a little bit, pushing that to the ground. Sarah Levin not able to get it on the layout attempt, and Nemesis now with the chance to break. Kelly Johnson bringing it in on the right third of her own goal line.
The breeze has picked up a little bit here. Could affect this point. Blowing a little bit downwind, kind of behind the camera, but from right to left. So it will be Nemesis facing a little bit of an upwind point here.
And yet another point that we see Hoffman and Johnson on the field. Moore putting it to space for Groom. Groom by herself.
Groom has been dominating downfield, and now she puts it up towards the end zone. And it's a score. Another score for Kelly Johnson. 14-13 now. Nemesis takes their first lead of the game with more dominant play from their very best players, who have basically been playing back-to-back points since they started their 4-0 run.
I honestly cannot remember the last time Kelly Johnson and Leanne Hoffman were not on the field for Nemesis. And yet, who is it who's streaking deep on that play to catch the continuation from the Huck? Kelly Johnson. Who's the only other player downfield with her besides the player with the disc? Leanne Hoffman. Two players who have played almost every point in this second half are tirelessly outworking everybody else.
It's a great performance here in the latter part of the second half from Nemesis. It's been wild results all weekend in both divisions. Some score updates right now. Ring of Fire leading Sockeye in the men's division 13-10. That would absolutely be an upset. Machine took down Chain Lightning 15-9. Double Wide taking down Revolver 15-11. What a performance from Double Wide to get a win in their first matchup with Revolver since last year's club championship finals. And behind us, Goat leading Ironside 14-9. So the men's division almost all upsets.
The women's side, not quite the case. Although we've seen some tight games, this game 14-13 in favor of the one seed from Pool A Nemesis, but Scandal in a tight game with Ozone has taken a 13-10 lead. Allison Maddox with a layout grab to put them up by 3. Fury has already wrapped up their game against Capitals, 15-5. Molly Brown down a significant amount to Seattle Riot, but the action here picking up as we see Kara Crouch catching the disc in the middle. Grenke now up to Katie fourth, putting up the break huck to Beck's fourth against Groom, and winning the battle against Groom in the air is Beck's fourth, and then out to space for Anessa Janes. It's gonna tie this one up at 14s. Unclear if we're playing to 16 as the cap went on, but I expect that's what we'll see. Both teams now getting set as we near the end of this game.
Hey, is this Universe or is it just 16? Anybody know? Hey, is this Universe or is it just 16?
Nemesis lining up their line, Hoffman, Johnson, both on, along with Seville, Marissa Mead. Christine Doobie on this line as well. Katie Delara, Becca Ludford.
And we now have confirmation this game will be played hard capped at 16, so this not a universe point. This will be a very important point, however, as will make it a lot easier to win this game if you can score here. For the first time in the game, Showdown needing a break to give themselves a chance to win the game on offense.
Also, I believe the first time in the game we're seeing Kara Crouch come out on defense here to help power the offense after a turn, and a poach D for Marjo Poindexter is called back on a foul on the mark.
An unfortunate foul on the mark because it would have been a D.
Seville with Katie Forth in coverage also coming over to this D line, showing you just how important this point is for Showdown. Chicago Machine coming to support their female counterparts, having won their first round game, dominating fashion, and the Chicago Ultimate scene growing into one of the premier scenes in the country now as Machine increases their quality. Nemesis does. We see a pro Ultimate team there now. Johnson in the middle of the field up to Ludford. Looking for a reset here. Late in the stall count. Put something up, and Sherrier not able to deny the disc to Johnson.
It's excellent dump defense, putting pressure on that throw and nearly getting a hand on it without ever seeing the disc.
Sherrier, a young player on the Showdown roster, and they ask her to take on a lot of the toughest offensive matchups. Hoffman now, 5 yards to the right of the brick mark. The dish to Johnson. Johnson never catching this disc with space. Sherrier working so hard, but takes off. Sherrier going for the foot block and slips. Johnson able to gain a lot of yardage out of it now. Nemesis just a couple yards outside the end zone. Seville in the middle of the field. Easy high release backhand break. Finds Steen Doobie for the score. 15-14, Chicago Nemesis.
Once again in the red zone, Nemesis working the break side with that high release backhand, finding the easy score. Beautiful work. Great pressure there from Showdown, but unable to come up with a block. So now pressure on their offense to score here. Nemesis on the doorstep of a victory. One more point will win them this game.
One of the Chicago Machine players actually leading the score cheer after the Nemesis score. And now they are getting loud for their team, supporting their female counterparts admirably. But Nemesis remains focused, looking to break to win this game. Of course, seeing Hoffman and Johnson on the line here with Lindsay Hack, Amelia Garcia, Cammie Groom. Also see Julie Weiner on the field and Lizzie Shield. Hack, the newest addition to this Nemesis team, has played almost every defensive point for them. Now she'll set to pull. And we see Blythe ready to field the pull up to Granke. Rachel Massey, excuse me. Back to the middle of the field to Raby. Granke now, about a yard to the right of the brick mark, to Crouch on the right third. Marked now by Hack, has seen mostly Laura Moore today. Now Sukano looking for a reset, a tight window there to Granke, but now she's looking for the around. Crouch set up directly behind. A throw to space here, and it's a few yards too far, and Nemesis, their sideline growing in volume here as they sense a chance to win this game. Took to get to the last couple of points for Nemesis to take the lead.
And Nemesis late getting to this disc, she's going to be able to start stall counting.
Initial throw here out to Weinert. Groom, the flick huck to Hoffman. No one within 10 yards of her. And now on the goal line, no mark. Showdown able to recover here. Now Hoffman's gonna need a reset. Finds Hack in the middle. And a round break, and that is the game for Nemesis. Julie Weiner with the score. Lindsay Hack throwing the game-winning goal for Chicago Nemesis to allow them to advance to the semifinals of the Pro Fight finale.
What an outstanding second half for this Nemesis team. Taking a timeout, down 3, then making a 4-0 run to get themselves back into the game. They took the lead late, and now they find themselves coming out on top. An incredible performance from their top players. Kelly Johnson, a goal-scoring machine. We saw some great play from Lindsay Hack, of course, throwing the game-winning assist just there. And just a gritty effort from a team that needed one. Needed a game like that and a win like that. You know, it's one thing to beat Fury when Fury gives you 6 free turnovers on the first throw, but to get a win here against a very good Showdown team after you're trailing late in the second half is really an impressive thing to do, and they march closer to an overall 1 seed at the club championships. Pretty remarkable. They'll probably need to win out the day, but anything can happen here at the Pro Flight finale.
Every time we touch the flag, we play better. Let's go take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.